What is up, car addicts? Welcome back to the vlog channel. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the new C8 ZR1. I'm pretty sure most of you watching this video already know pretty much all the specs and stuff, but I want to sort of give my thoughts on it, what I think of the car, if I'm going to get one. Being a C7 ZR1 owner myself, what I think of the car, if it's impressive, it definitely is, and what are my thoughts on it overall in general. And I think the best way to do that, let's go ahead and hop in the C7 ZR1 and go for a little drive so I can give my thoughts on the new C8 ZR1. All right, so let's talk C8 ZR1. Pretty much everybody already knows the craziness, the horsepower numbers, 1,064 horsepower, just absolutely crazy. And what's even more surprising that no one really expected, including me, is the fact that it's not a hybrid. So it's literally just a V8 with twin turbos, rear wheel drive, and 1,064 horsepower. General Motors literally just said screw it and just threw everything at it. I can't believe that. And one of the videos I was watching, one of the engineers, he stated that their initial goal was 850, but when they actually put the engine on the dyno, it made much more than that. I think he said like 900 or 950, something like that. And then eventually they just went, full tilt, and 1,064 was the number. Just absolute insanity. And when you compare it to the C7 ZR1 I'm driving now, the stock horsepower numbers of this car back in 2019, 755 horsepower, which was mind-boggling, and it's still pretty impressive till this day. But I mean, the fact that they went from 755 to 1,064, a 300 horsepower difference, that's never happened in the history of Corvette where they jump horsepower that much. I mean, that is just ridiculous. And if you look at the rest of the C8 lineup, we have the C8 Stingray, 495 horsepower, and then you have the C8 Z06, 670 horsepower. Let me put this in quiet mode so you can actually hear me. 670 horsepower, and what they did was they took that same 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 from the C8 Z06, and of course, they made a bunch of the components stronger and all that, and then they bolted two turbos to it and 1,064 horsepower. And of course, they also did bring the red line down a bit. So the C8 Z06 had a red line of like 8,600 RPM. The C8 ZR1 only 8,000. That is just insane. Now, we pretty much know most of the specs about the car. The quarter mile times on the street, supposedly from GM, is under 10 seconds, which I don't know about that. I feel like you're gonna need a lot of, what's the word? A lot of grip, because to put that much power down to the ground, because the tire compound hasn't changed. They're still using the Cup 2Rs on the track version, and then the 4S Michelins on the standard version, the same thing from the Z06. And the C8 Z06s are struggling to put power down to the ground. So how are they gonna put, an extra 400 horsepower to the ground? I don't know. I feel like those cars are gonna be kind of like when the Hellcats first came out. They're just gonna like spin and spin and spin. And if you saw some of the testing footage, I think that Motor Trend posted, they did their pool on their road course or testing proving grounds, whatever. They did it at 80 miles an hour. they gunned it at 80. So, I mean, that's kind of, I guarantee you anything below 70, that car is spinning its tires off, guaranteed. It's just, I think, just a crazy amount of power to the rear wheels. But, yeah, just absolutely mind-boggling. Supposedly, there's a Zora coming out in the future, the Zora model, so the ZR1 will no longer be the top king. They're gonna make, like, for the last year of a C8, supposedly, these are just rumors, nothing's confirmed yet for the Zora, but the rumors say that for the last year of the C8 Corvette, they're gonna give it a nice send-off, with a Zora model, which will basically take the C8 ZR1 and add the electric motor hybrid system from the E-Ray up front. So then you get all-wheel drive and like an extra 200 horsepower. So it will be 1,200 horsepower all-wheel drive. That's going to be ridiculous. Now, you know, everybody's all excited and everything, and I am too, but they purposely haven't given us the price of this car. So the standard C8 Stingray currently, obviously the price has been going up every year with destination charge. The base price of a normal C8 Stingray is over $70,000. Used to be like 60, that's no longer the case now, it's about 70. And then the C8 Z06 starts currently at about 112,000. So, I mean, what basically essentially is a twin turbo Z06, better aero and craziness and all that. How much more is that gonna cost? No one really knows. So if you take a C8 Z06, you know, 112,000, you can, with options, you can bring it up all the way into about $180,000 or so if you load it up with every option convertible. So, I mean, I think personally, the C8 ZR1 with 1,000 horsepower, I don't think it's gonna cost less than a starting price of about 190 is my guess. At the lowest, 185 best price, but I still doubt that. I think it's gonna start at about 190. Now the car does have a lot of carbon fiber standard, where that's optional on a C8 Z06. So like the roof is already given to you in carbon, and just a lot of other little carbon features on the exterior of the car. Really the only options on that car is all the interior carbon bits, competition seats, and let's see what else. Probably the 3ZR, because usually they change the trim for the interior and the leather and all that. They call it ZR on the ZR1s instead of LZ like it is on the Z06s. And of course, the crazy ZTK track package with the big wing and the gurney flap up front, and the canards on the front end of the car. So I mean, I think loaded up with every option, with all the carbon fiber wheels, which are also optional. They also have a new design for that, which looks sick. I think that car is gonna be loaded up. Let's say you do the convertible, which is a little bit more expensive. I think that car is gonna be about, loaded with every option, I want to say about $230,000 is my guess. And of course, it never ends with the dealerships and the greediness. You're gonna have the markups. Everybody knows the markups. You know, and the markups are probably, I've already been hearing markups between $50,000 to $100,000 from different friends and dealerships. So, yikes. I mean, essentially, any way you slice it, it's a $300,000 Corvette with taxes, fees, markups. And then there's some dealerships, allegedly, I'm not gonna, you know, just allegedly, there's some dealerships that are giving you the car for MSRP and then taking money under the table, allegedly, which you're still paying a markup at the end of the day. And if you pay the markup normally with a dealer where they put it on paper, you also have to pay taxes on the markup too, not just the price of the car. So I personally, you know, a lot of my friends have been asking me, you know, since I have a ZR1, are you gonna get the new ZR1? Personally, I don't know. I think that it's possible that I might, but definitely not anytime soon. I want the craziness to die off of everybody wanting one and going crazy for it and paying crazy markups. And eventually, you know, when the Zora model comes out, I think that the ZR1s, you know, they're kind of gonna plateau in terms of price and probably go back to close to their MSRP for a while, similar to what happened with the C8 Z06s currently. I mean, I've seen C8 Z06s for like 5,000 under MSRP, even 10,000 under MSRP at some dealers that have a, you know, a super highly optioned car that's just sitting there and not selling. So that's sort of my answer there for that. But the C8 ZR1, man, what an incredible car. GM, I mean, they really outdid themselves. I and many of my friends, you know, we were guessing what's the power gonna be. And all of us were thinking it was gonna be, you know, like 850 or so, which is literally what the GM engineers said their initial goal was. So, I mean, the fact that they just said screw it and went to 1,064, my God. But definitely that's not a car for the average Corvette buyer. Also, something I wanted to talk about for this car as well is there's a lot of new firsts for this car, or callbacks. So it's the first ever turbocharged Corvette. Amazing, twin turbo, of course, and it's also the first time they've ever brought back the split window. So the C8 ZR1 has a split window. Now for a production car, it's the first time, but they did have a split window concept with the 2009 Corvette Stingray, for those of you who remember that car. But this is the first time they ever put it back on a production car. Now it's a split window in quotation marks because it does have like vents in it. That's basically what it is. It's a vent for to dissipate the heat and all that. So you can actually see out through those vents in the rearview mirror. So it's not gonna block your visibility. So that's kind of cool that they did that. And then the twin turbo system in the car, Chevy really, from the videos I've seen, they didn't want to have any like turbo lag. The turbo engines are known for having that turbo lag. It's kind of annoying. And supposedly they have these electronic valves in the turbochargers that will close when you're cruising at a constant speed, or when you're on the track and you're like mid-corner, halfway on the throttle or whatever, and then when you punch it out of the corner, the boost is already ready. So it opens the valves back up. That is just insanity. But for now, I love my C7 ZR1. It's the last front engine Corvette. And I think it's definitely, a car for the history books. I know it's not a 1,000 horsepower car, but at the end of the day, anything over like 500, 600 horsepower is a seriously fun and exhilarating car to drive. Mine right now, I have 755. I have some mods done to it. It's stock 755, but I have some bolt-ons and stuff. So my car, as it sits, is making like 850-ish, around there, depending on the fuel and the octane and all that. And if I put it on E85, it'll make like 900. But it's just incredible the jump that GM did, and they should be very, very proud of that car. And it's going to be an extremely limited car as well, from what I've been hearing. So the demands on that car, it's going to be absolutely crazy. I'm going to hold off on getting one for a long time. And I think those of you watching that are considering one should do the same thing too. Don't fall into the trap of like, oh my God, I need to have one right now. Unless, you're very well off, then yeah, go ahead. If you want to throw away $50,000, $60,000 in markups, or $100,000 in markups, but I won't do that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the C8 ZR1 down below in the comments. I'll also leave a link down below in the pinned comment to the Chevrolet website, where they actually have like a little mini configurator thing. You can only change the color, the interior color, the wheels, then add the ZTK package on or off. That's all you can do on the configurator. It's like a little visual thing, but there's no pricing yet, of course. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.